Good evening, and once again, welcome back to Black Men Runs, the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. I am your host, JT Hale, based here in the ATL. My co-host, Lucille Boyd, co-captain for the Detroit chapter and the unofficial mayor of Detroit, by the way.
The D.
In the D313. And tonight we are delighted to have Brother Salem Stanley on our podcast. Met Salem last year at Selma to Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
Salem was also in Detroit last year. We tried to get him into the ATL for the 10. Hey, things happened, but he's here on the podcast. Salem, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And thanks to the BMR universe. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you, man. We are glad to have you. So for those who don't know, Salem Stanley is the owner of Vacation Races. Vacation Races is one of Black Men Run's partners. But before we get into Vacation Races, Salem, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, background?
Yeah, happy to. So, I'm Salem. I'm grew up in southern Utah. If anyone familiar with the area, it's like 2 hours north of Vegas, a little town called St. George, Utah. I can see Arizona and Nevada from my house, so we're like right on the corner if you look at a map. I grew up as a member of the Mormon Church, if anyone's familiar with it. I got a very conflicted relationship with that organization. If anybody on the call has ever been hurt by that organization, I'm sorry. But I'm a recovering Mormon at this point. And I come from a big family. I've always been an athlete. High school, I excelled in football, and that was kind of my passion. That was my love. And track and field, I was probably a little better at track. But ended up playing at a small school in Southern Virginia. About 12 years ago, while I was getting my master's degree, I started Vacation Races. But huge fan of BMR. I think anyone who's heard me talk to the BMR group, I just always want to say thanks for being a part of the organization. I think it's really a beautiful thing, and I think seeing men especially kind of taking care of themselves. I often say my dad died when I was 15 years old from diabetes, complications of diabetes, totally avoidable. Didn't have access to, or interest in, I should say, to, mental health. Talking to a therapist wasn't quite as accepted as it is today. And he just kind of went to used food to kind of cope with the negativity in his life, and ended up getting overweight and it ended up causing him problems. So for all you out there, on behalf of your kids, on behalf of your people who love you, you're amazing for trying, for being out there, for being part of BMR. Is beautiful. It's beautiful. And I want to thank you for that. Anyone listening, keep fighting the fight, man. It's good stuff. We got something special with BMR.
Yes, indeed, man. Yes, indeed. So you say recovering Mormon. Does that mean you are still a Mormon?
I would say technically, I think I'm still considered like an inactive Mormon.
Okay.
But I no longer affiliate. And I live in Utah, so it's hard to escape. It's everywhere. But yeah, man, church is a complicated relationship there. So, but my wife and I are in a good place now, so we're pretty happy.
So, question for you is I know Utah is populated with a lot of Mormon. Is that the reason things close up so early in Salt Lake City?
Yes, that's the main reason. Okay. And the liquor laws here are so dumb. They were written by people who've never had a drink in their life. And that's not a joke. Like, all the legislators who are writing these laws have never had a drink. I had my first drink when I was like 35. I never had coffee till I was like 35, 36.
Wow.
I know. So it's and then just the whole there are a lot of aspects to the culture here that are a little suffocating for someone like me. But there's a lot of great things. The landscape here is incredible. Anyone been to Utah? It's amazing. There's a lot of amazing things here. But yeah, there's the Mormons like were driven out of Missouri. They settled this place when it was like inhospitable. So I guess you got to give credit there, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's they're a little too there's only one way to do life, and that didn't quite fit me.
Wow. So when you left to go to school in Virginia, was that kind of like the eye-opening
No,
for you?
no.
No?
So okay, so I'm growing up in Southern Utah, and a lot of guys, it's common when you turn 19 that you serve a 2-year mission for the church. You may have even seen the guys that are wearing white shirts, or if anyone's seen the play Book of Mormon, right? Like I was that guy. I had a little badge.
Oh,
I rode my bike around Cambodia for 2 years. Learned the language, learned how to read, write, talk to people. I love the people there. They're just beautiful people. And but yeah, so I went there, and that kind of made me go, oh, okay. It opened my eyes a little bit. So then I came home, so I'm 21. A year after I came home, I was married, like to the day. So I got married. I met my wife in January. We decided to get married in February, and we got married in July of 2003. Wow. So because Mormons can't have sex, or not supposed to, so all these horny Mormons really want to do the deed, and they got to get married. So they all get married when they're like 20 years old.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, that's how it is. And so then a year later, we got a kid. And so I got 4 kids. My oldest has graduated high school. I'm 42. Yeah, we'll be empty nesters before I turn 50, which that's good. There's good things about that, but like, yeah,
the upside,
it's a little young.
Yeah. You're still young and with grown children. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the thing that turned for me, that opened my eyes, is I was learning about, just how to, I don't know, just learning about things. Mm-hmm. How the church, frankly, the church's history with racism is well documented and horrific. But how they treat LGBT folks, how women are treated, really just bothered me. And I just couldn't reconcile it with what I knew to be reality. And I was like, well, and then at the time, the leader of the church was like, either it's all right or none of it is. And I'm like, well, I can point to some things that definitely aren't, so that must mean none of it is. So I've been out for about 10 years, but that's we live in Utah, so the entire culture is really built around everyone going to church, the whole neighborhood, all the social gatherings. It's all built around the church. And they're not open to like casual Mormons. So if you want to have a drink, you like smoking weed, you like doing whatever you like to do, it's all or nothing. And I just had a hard time. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm out.
Or do they have more than one wife?
Yeah. So it used to be, like forever ago. But I can talk to you all day about Mormonism. Anyone wants to know. So the original prophet is Joseph Smith. Grew up in New York. Dude's a con man, like straight up con man. Like was like a treasure finder is like what he was called himself. So anyway, starts this church, and like many cults, he started wanting to have sex with everybody. So he starts poaching these like 14-year-old girls. This is documented stuff. This is like, well. So anyway, so the locals in Missouri and Illinois are like, what the hell? Like, get out. What are you doing? Like, this isn't okay. And they start putting him in jail. They start doing all this stuff. So Joseph Smith ends up like destroying a printing press because they printed something that he didn't like, that's very un-American. And then was thrown in jail for that. And then a mob came and killed him. Of course, that's not cool. Extrajudicious activity I don't approve of. But I'm also like, yeah, man, he was raping 14-year-old girls. Like, I have a hard time saying. Anyway, so he was dabbling in this like additional wives thing. So then Brigham Young, who the university's named after, went all in. He had like 45 wives. They were like, this is key parts of the Mormon religion. They were like all in. So then he dies, prophet, and they move to Utah, like, and then settle Utah. So then the third prophet, he was like on the run from like the police for like his whole time. And then the fourth guy, then he dies, and then the fourth guy finally is like, hey, what? Like the US government basically said, okay, if you guys want to do polygamy, then no, you're never going to be a state. And so he makes a very prudent choice and says, oh, God talked to me and told me, just kidding, we don't need to make this part of our church. And so wow. So then Utah, the next year, Utah became a state. And then it sort of, there's a community actually I told you I could see Arizona from my house. There's a community right across the border in Arizona that still practices polygamy. If you've watched the Netflix series like Keep Sweet, check it out if you're interested. Or if you read the book, what's it called? Under the Banner of Heaven. Any of that, that's like half an hour from my house. Like, it's right here.
I watched Sister Wife.
Yeah. It's Sister Wife, all that. Yep, that's like my backyard. And so Mormonism still has this very, like, they're still tied to polygamy pretty intensely, but the mainstream Mormon church has said, no, that's not us, and has really tried to separate themselves. But it's how they were started. I don't know, man. Like,
wow.
Anyway, that's the short version. Anyone wants to have a deep dive? Oh, I love talking shit about the church.
So if any of you guys want to talk about Mormon stuff, I guess hit up Salem.
I was an expert, man. I can even do it to you. I can even talk to you about it in Cambodian if anybody wants to talk about it in Cambodian.
Wow. Well, let's turn the corner from the Mormon Boulevard onto Vacation Races Street. So now, owner of Vacation Races, what led you to start Vacation Races? What was your vision for that?
So it's interesting. My brother, I'm the youngest of 8 kids. Again, Mormon family, big family. I'm the baby. My brother, one of my brothers, he started a triathlon in like I think it was 99. It might have been 2000. So I was I was just out of high school, and I was just on my way to Cambodia. So I think I missed the first 2 years of the triathlon. So anyone who's doing endurance events around the turn of the century, if you can remember, triathlon at that time was still like crazy and new, and even like a short distance was like, whoa, you're bananas. And it's not nearly as mainstream as it is today. So he started it then, and my whole family, we really like, I don't know, there's something about us that we're pretty good at putting on events. Several of my siblings do event production. And so we would all get together and help him produce the event. And it was here in our hometown, so it gave us all an excuse to come back and see each other and that kind of a thing. So my role in that was on the finance and accounting side of things. That was kind of where I was into numbers. I was studying finance in school. So I helped him with that, learned how the business operated. And then he ended up selling it. I went off and worked at an investment bank. I sold software, just kind of had some jobs that were okay, learned a lot. Went back to school to get grad school to get a MBA. And I just could not shake this idea that I wanted to start a company. And I had 3 kids at the time. And so I didn't feel like I could just risk everything, but I was able to I met with a guy, a buddy of mine, who was flipping assisted living homes. So he'd find like an underperforming assisted living home. And he told me, he's like, I can look at a set of financial statements and I can tell you what's happening and what's wrong with the business. And I thought, oh, what business do I know well enough that where I could do that? And I just was like, oh, endurance events. I really like that. I like events. I like athletics. I've always been an athlete. I really, I was in theater. I was in music. I was in student leadership. I was in a lot of things. But I just, the lessons you learn as an athlete, I don't care the sport, the teamwork, the individual, like just digging deep within yourself is just always really resonated with me. So I started kind of doing some diligence on the industry. I wasn't an endurance runner. I'd never run a half marathon at that point. So this is 2012. My wife was a big runner. She ran at a small school out in Virginia, but she's always just loved running, and so it's been a part of us, just being fit and being active and all that. And so we just started looking at where we could host events. And the first idea was, we'll do like, B tier cities. So not like me, we don't want to go do the New York. New York, of course, has a marathon. Atlanta has a marathon. Houston, etc. So we were kind of looking at, what's the next tier down? And maybe let's create a series there. But the more I started talking to people, the more they were like, dude, I like traveling to run. One person was like, because I was asking, like, how far would you travel for your favorite race? And they're like, I'd go anywhere in the world. And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. So then I started looking at it and started I started working real briefly with a company that did wine country half marathon series. And as I was working for them, I just would look around and go, I can do this. Why don't I just do this? And so I started, while I was still in school, I launched the Zion Half Marathon. I grew up just outside Zion, about 30 minutes, and spent a lot of time there and really love it. So I gave it a shot, and we had 500 people show up the first year. Wow. Not enough to make any money, but it was a good show. It was good, and I showed people a good time and got good reviews. And the next year we had 1,500 people, and then the next year we had 2,500 people. So we were growing it, and then we just started adding other events. So 2013 we had Zion, Rocky Mountain, which is my wife grew up outside Rocky Mountain National Park, and so she loves that, so I went there. And then my favorite place in the world is Lake Powell, which is a lake on southern Utah, northern Arizona, right on the border. And so we did one there. And then the next year we added the big tier. We did Grand Canyon, we did Smoky Mountains, and we did Yellowstone. And the next year we added Teton and we added Yosemite. Wow. And then in 2016, a buddy of mine had started around the same time I started. He started an ultra marathon company at the national parks. And I had floated the idea to him, like, I think we might be better if we join forces. And he's like, no, they're different. I'm like, I'm not sure they are, but okay. And so anyway, he was going through a messy divorce, and just one thing led to another, and we was just like, yeah, it made sense. So we ended up coming together. He worked for me for a few years after that, and we started getting good at ultra marathons. And then we had also inherited from him an event called Trail Fest, which is a 3-day trail running festival. And so then we started doing that, and then 2017, 2018, I kind of heard about this other kind of tours overseas, and I started experimenting and looking at that. And in 2019, we launched our very first global adventure. We went to Banff, and we got 2 trips early 2020 before March in Costa Rica, and they were amazing, really great. Then of course COVID hit, so then we've just kind of been stumbling since. I mean, just trying to hold on, but we've kind of broken free now, and we're really excited about the future. But we've got about, globally, we've got about 40 events. And we've got our sights set on going even bigger. So we like what we're doing. I get to work with my wife in the same office and with the same company, and it's that's a joy. I know not everyone can work with their spouse, but my wife and I really like working together. And cool. And we've gotten to see a lot of things and travel to a lot of places, and we're very blessed. Being an owner is always very stressful and challenging at times, but it can also be extremely rewarding. So that's kind of the VR story.
Okay, Lou Sire and I actually participated in one of your events, Great Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
Back in, what year was that, Lou Sire? Do you remember?
That was 2019, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Was that, or no, let's go back. Time is going by so fast.
I can look you guys up.
I think it was 21 because the pandemic hit in 2021. Yeah. Okay.
21.
There were about 8 of us. Ed and I came from Atlanta. Lou Sire and Romero came from Detroit. We had Will Worldwide Will White from DC, Orenthal Striggles from South Carolina.
Orthal's fast.
He is lightning fast.
He's the one who's got the course record at the Smokies.
Yes, he set a record out there with I think the 5K and the
2021. I got Lucire running the Black Bear double, my man. Got them both. You got the bonus medal. Attaboy.
Yeah. That was it.
They all got medals. I ended up surprisingly with a medal for the group. I was like, what?
Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah, we came in first place that year.
Awesome.
Had no idea, but I've never been a trail running guy. My thing is running in the city. I like city lights. I like, seeing where I'm going. I like, so I kind of signed up at the last minute. Brian Castleberry had mentioned it a few times, and I was like, dude, no, I'm not running in the woods. Are you crazy? They got bears and lions and tigers and serial killers and axe murders. What? Not doing no woods. And my thought of what a trail run is running through the woods, you're knocking branches out of the way, you're jumping over logs and, getting cut up and scratched up. I had no idea till I got up there that it was completely on the road.
Yeah, that one's all on the road. Because that's the thing, JT. I was planning to just do road half marathons. That was the original plan.
Okay.
Now, when we did like this, I think the second year when we did Grand Canyon and we did Yellowstone, both of those locations, there's not a lot of pavement to utilize. So in both of those instances, we ended up on trail, but it was still like, it wasn't single track. It was like fire road. So it's still big, wide. You weren't like zipping in and out of trees or anything like that. But once we got the ultra marathons in 2016 and 2017, that's when we started to go, oh, wow, trails are great because you just get access to views and you get some sort of peace and quiet that you just don't get in the city. And I get that that's really not everybody's cup of tea, but there is a lot of peace and beauty to it that you get, and it challenges you in a different way, right? Like road races, you're like looking at your pace and you're trying to keep an eye on your watch and I gotta push. And trail races are like, dude, it's power hiking. Like, chill out. Like, it's cool. We're all just out here covering a lot of ground, but like, it's just a little bit more relaxed of a vibe. And I really gravitate to that. So even at our road races, we've tried to kind of pull in that kind of vibe where, look, it's not really about performance. Some people come in, they want a PR, they want a whatever, that's great. But really the vibe is about having the best time of your life on course. We design our courses for scenery, not for ease, not to get PRs, but for beauty. We just want the course to be the most beautiful things. And if the road lends itself to that, awesome. And if the trails do, then we go for trails.
That's why I say enjoy the journey. It's not about the finish line. It's about the journey.
That's exactly right. It's about the overall experience. Some races you're going to do great. Like, I can tell you, I've PR'd on our courses. Like there are some of them where you can still just open it up. And if your training did you well, you're going to crush it. And then there's some times where it's just like, yeah, man, I'm just going to go out and walk this one. And I end up 3-4 hours. It's like, that's cool. Sometimes it's just being out there, having a good time.
Now, Lucire is a trail runner as well as a ultra marathoner.
What have you done? Give me your resume, Lucire.
I've done Marquette 50K. That's one of my toughest ones. It's like climbing a bunch of mountains up in the upper peninsula of Michigan. That's real nice. I've done that one like 5 times. And I've done 55K in South Africa. You would love. I think one of your vacation races in South Africa would be awesome. It was in Cape.
We're already planning it. It. Yeah,
I'm in the right
it's coming.
spirit. I'm in the right spirit then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was called Two Oceans. It went from the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, and the finish line was at Cape Town University at the in the middle of the soccer field, which was interesting.
What's it called?
Two Oceans.
Two Oceans. So I always gotta look it up.
Two Oceans Ultra Marathon, which is a sister to Comrades, which is a 90K.
Cool.
Usually people do 2 oceans right before they do Comrade for like a long run.
Dude, this is a big event.
Yeah, very big.
Very cool.
But it's funny how they do it over in Europe and in Africa. They, you know how we have chip time over there. When they say go, you got 12 hours no matter where you are in line, which is funny.
Oh wow. Okay. So they don't so they don't really time you then over there.
Well, your time you better get through in that particular time period.
In that
There's a
time.
lot of people trying to get to the front of the
Oh
start
yeah,
line.
for sure. If you don't do that, that's just everybody's on gun time, and
Wow.
you're back in the pack. And you're slow. It's a bad
And
idea.
then with Comrades, they celebrate the winner, and the last person that just makes it, they celebrate him like he won it.
Oh yeah. We always call that at our race. We call that the DFL. In trail running, it's DFL. You guys know that phrase?
What that means.
All right.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to do a little medal for the DFL.
Did not lose.
But we don't want people competing for it. That's the problem.
Right, exactly.
Holding back to compete. We want to like
Right.
That's crazy, man. That is hilarious, man. So Salem, tell us what someone considering doing one of vacation races, what they can expect. I know you have Mount Rainier, Shenandoah Valley, Lucille, you did Denver too, right?
Yeah, I did Denver Estes Park.
Yeah, it's right. It's Rocky Mountain National Park.
Yeah, last year that was real fun.
Did you get into the park afterwards? You guys go explore?
Yeah, we went all the way up. That was about 14.
You went up the road. I think my wife gave you some tips, and
your wife told us where to go. We was on the edge of a cliff, man. Ears popping, man. The trees stopped growing, man, at 11,000 feet, man. We were out there. We saw two moose, man. 2 black moose out there. They were huge. And then we saw like 60. It was a whole herd of elk, man, across the plain right there. It was crazy when we was coming back.
So you're definitely out there in nature. You're not in the park. You're near or around natural.
So the runs themselves, are not in the parks because thankfully parks are public land. They don't, I don't want some rich guy coming in like renting out Zion National Park and no one gets to visit that week because he's got a family reunion. So so they don't permit events inside the park.
Good.
I think it's a good policy.
Okay.
I think it's a good policy.
Mm-hmm.
There are every once in a while they'll make an exception, but that's the general rule. So all of our events are just outside the parks, but again, they're designed to feel like you're in the park. So like Yosemite, for example, we're not in Yosemite Valley, which is the iconic spot, but you'll see big granite monoliths. You'll run by trees. You'll run by rivers and waterfalls. That's part of the course. There's a big lake that we finish at. So we still try and get that feel, but it's all outside the park. But then the goal is, and like 95, we've surveyed people, I think it's 95% of our participants go into the park and do some hiking that same day.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll even we encourage that. We've got a sort of a scavenger hunt. It used to be we called it a club hike. We changed it to like a scavenger hunt. So you get in the park, we've got all these recommendations. You start checking them off, and different things are worth different amount of points. You eat at this restaurant that we love, you get 500 points. You go on this hike, you get 1,000 points, kind of a thing. And as soon as you hit the minimum for that park, then you get a little like wood badge that will mail to you. It's all free, it's all included, and you get that for being a national park explorer. So we got some people who collect those badges and stuff, but we really do encourage you to get into the park and appreciate these oh my gosh, we just have the best, most beautiful places in America to go to. And it's the race, again, the race is a good excuse to get out there, but you got family or friends that you want to drag along. It's pretty easy when you're like, hey, yeah, you don't have to run, just come to Zion with me, or hey, we're gonna do hiking anyway, might as well just walk a 13.1 with me, and that kind of a thing. And it ends up being a really good thing. Our races are all like early morning, so especially for the half marathons, you're done by 9-10 o'clock, maybe 11 if you're true back of the packer, but it's enough to where you can still go in and enjoy the park, and still kind of have a good day that day. and you don't get beat up so much that you're just sitting in the hotel. Now you do an ultra, yeah, you're probably not going to want to do a lot of hiking afterwards, but you do a half marathon, 5K, that kind of thing. It's a really great excuse to just get yourself to the park, and yeah, we'll entertain you for a little bit, checking in and going to the race, but we want you out exploring the park and enjoying these beautiful parks and beautiful places.
It's amazing.
Salem, I like those patches. Castleberry has a jacket, and he has those patches that you guys, each time you go to a different location, you get you a patch.
Yeah. We do patches and stickers and all that. And so different people were asking for patches all the time. I was like, I don't know what do you want a patch for? We don't like, I was a Boy Scout. I'm like, we don't have a sash or anything to put them on. Like, what are we doing here? But we're like, all right, people want them, so we get them. And then I see them on hats, I see them on jackets or shirts, and I'm like, all right, I get it. That's cool. Or backpacks, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's yeah, we do patches, and we do change. We change the like we have the shield design. I'm trying to see if I've got something I can pull up, but we got kind of a basic shield design, and then, every year the park icon changes. So yeah, I got a couple I can pull up my wall, but it'll take me too long. Anyway, you can see on our website, and if you see like Google Zion Half Marathon medal, you'll see the medal changes every year. Yeah, there you go.
That's one of your medals right there.
Yeah, and the patch looks like the medal, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's a different park icon in that upper section.
That's the Rockies. See, that's the Rockies Mountains.
Okay. Let's see.
Does it say on the back what's on the front of the medal?
The back of this says 10 vacation races, 2012 to 2022.
I think we just started this year where we give a little bit more information about what was on the medal and what the icon is and the history.
Yeah, that's how the back looks.
Okay.
That's awesome. We have
medals are big. Yeah, medals are big. They're all beautiful.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Man, them medals are weapons, man. You got to pack them in your
we even do them for the global tours. This is when I got in Iceland last year.
Oh, nice.
So the global ones we don't change every year. That because most people aren't doing the same trip over and over. They want to run the series. So
the global tours, those are the 3-day events.
Those are a week long. So they go. They start on a Saturday. I think almost exclusively we start on Saturday at a rendezvous city, and then Sunday and every day for the rest of the week you're out running 5 to 10K every day on some just trail in somewhere in the country.
Man, that is nice.
Say it again. Oh, sorry, Lou. What'd you say?
Oh, I said that is real nice.
Yeah. No, amazing, right? So it's enough to kind of get that runner high. It's enough to see some stuff. It's amazing. And then the afternoon we have great meals. Everything's included. We have good excursions and activities. It's a small group of around 60 to 80 people. I guess our Croatia is a little smaller than that, but it's roughly that size. And you're just hanging out with everyone, going from place to place. Usually move hotels maybe twice. And over the course of the week, you run about a 50K, a little over 50K, and you just get it's just this incredible experience. Early on, I read a book, if anyone's read Desert Solitaire by an author, Edward Abbey, great book. And he talks about, I'll paraphrase the quote, but he's like, a man on foot will hear more, feel more, see more, and experience more in 1 mile than the motorized tourist will in 100. And I think that's true. So I don't know where you are in the world, man. You get out and you get on your feet and you get into the wherever you are, and it just like, I don't know, man. You just kind of experience more. It's just a better way to connect, and it's just a better way to be. I get goosebumps just talking about it. So anyway, I love it. I really do love it.
Yeah, we got a lot of trail runners in the organization, which brings me to my next question. What led you to partner with Black Men Run?
Yeah. So like a lot of folks in the wake of George Floyd's murder, I was I don't know. I had to kind of sit with myself and go, hold on. I know this isn't new, but what am I doing? I'm not doing anything. And you know, I'm a welcoming guy. I wasn't like trying to keep anyone away, but I was like, yeah, there's just a lot of white folks here, and we need a little more diversity. So I put out a letter. It's still on our website. Anyone can read it. I think it was in May, or I think it was June of 2020. And in response to that, it was, I think, Raphael, blanking on his last name. He's in Phoenix, at least at the time. Yeah, that's it. And then Brian jumped on a call. And, you know, I think a lot of organizations like BMR were getting hit up. A lot of people, you know, feeling whatever they were feeling. And they were just trying to vet if somebody was coming in trying to just, I don't know, use BMR for themselves, or if they were here to help. And I was meeting with BMR, another organization that Raphael was familiar with, that he introduced me to, as Latinos Run. Yeah. Anyway, we just started talking to anyone we could, just being like, hey, we want to be intentionally more helpful. We like what you're doing. We want to promote diversity in the sport. What can we do? So I didn't come to the table with like, hey, here's what we're thinking. I was like, I don't know, guys, what do you need? I talked to JL at Black Girls Run. Of course, they're a bigger organization. They're a little more well established. They certainly got a broader reach, but there wasn't anything I could really do to help them. And so, you know, we didn't work anything out. But I think the world of JL and the organization, it just didn't make sense. But it looked like we certainly with Brian Castleberry, we just were able to kind of go, yeah, I think we can make something like this work, and I think we can help each other here. So that was really the beginning, and then yeah, man, I independent of you guys, have reached out to the Civil Rights Race Series. I was already thinking there should be an event that goes from Selma to Montgomery, and when I saw somebody else, I was like, yeah, but I'm probably not the right guy to do that. So when I saw that somebody else was doing it, I was like, oh, sweet. And I emailed Virgil. I was like, hey, well, we want to sponsor. What can we do to help? And so we've been trying to support them and help them these last couple of years. But especially after Detroit last year, guys, I'm a fanboy of BMR now. I'm just going, okay, whatever aside, this is a beautiful organization that I don't know. There's just something special about it. And I just really love the mission. I love what you guys are doing. I love the people. I feel lucky that I get to be involved in any way. So I appreciate you guys even considering me for anything, because I'm a nobody, but I really love what you guys are doing, and I'm a big fan. So that's kind of the gist of it. So we're looking at other ways we can be involved, and ways we can work together. I like what you guys are doing on the mental health side, with the nonprofit and all that. So I don't know. I'm here. I want to be a resource, and I want to help BMR grow or develop or do what it needs to do to serve you guys better, because I think what you guys have is really beautiful.
Or as Zed likes to say, whatever makes the race car go faster.
Yeah, I get that too.
That's the line.
I get that too.
But we're definitely glad to be partnering with you. Really like what you're doing, what you're offering. And so for those who don't know, or were not fortunate enough to attend our amazing 10th anniversary celebration / national meetup, we did give out awards and prizes on Saturday, including prizes, I can't recall, from Salem and Vacation Races. Salem, can you tell us exactly what?
I'm trying to remember. Castleberry reached out last minute, was like, hey, I want to make sure we know what we're doing. I can't remember what I committed to. So let me look him up real quick.
Man, you should have seen the look on the guy who won that 9.
Yeah, they got to email me. I haven't heard him yet.
That's it.
So we did 3 prizes. We did one prize was a $300 race credit, which is you could really use for anything, but it's equivalent to roughly 2 half marathons and some change, and you could get into that. Then we did Second prize was $1,500 race credit, and that was equal to about 2 Trail Fest events. So it should be able to get 2 people in. And we didn't totally talk about Trail Fest, but that's a 3-day trail running festival.
That's that
we're growing. And then the third prize was our Global Adventure series is $9,000, which is 2 people into that. So they don't have to go alone. They can bring a buddy or a spouse, and they can use these credits anywhere. But that's kind of the idea. So yeah, we were stoked. We that's what we did. We did something similar in Detroit, and we did that again this year. And yeah, I don't know the winners. They're supposed to email me once they want to redeem, and we'll be here.
I got a list, but I don't know where it is. But you definitely up the ante for Atlanta.
Good.
With the prizes. And you mentioned Trail Fest. That's the 3-day event.
So let's talk about that.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the currently we have one Trail Fest. It's in southern Utah. It's in a little town called Kanab, Kanab, if you want to Google it. So Kanab, Utah. It's this really cool town, and it's kind of in the center of several really iconic places. So one is it's about an hour from Zion National Park. It's about an hour and maybe 15 minutes from Bryce Canyon National Park. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours to Grand Canyon National Park, and then Lake Powell, Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, Horseshoe Bend, Antelope Canyon, any of those that you might have heard, where it's about an hour and change from there. So we're kind of centralized. Everyone comes in. We set up about 500 tents. That's included with registration. Many people stay in hotels, so don't be scared off by the tent thing if that's not your thing. But there's tent camping that's included. There's meals are included. But every morning you wake up, drive an hour and change, and go run the most iconic section of our Bryce Canyon course. Wow. It's called Thunder Mountain. So any of the pictures that you've ever seen of like these crazy orange, like hoodoos, like big rocks and shit, that's Bryce. It's amazing. So then they come back that evening. There's a festival, there's music, there's speakers, there's dinner, there's massage tables, there's of course showers and stuff like that. Beer garden, all that. Just good hangout spot. And then the next day we drive to Zion and we run. And then the evening come back and everyone does the festival thing. And then the last day we go out to Horseshoe Bend, and we really are just showing the 3 iconic sections of our ultra marathons. Mm-hmm. Nice. You can get all those in one killer weekend, but it's a roughly 13 miles a day, 10 to 13 miles. So you end up running close to 35 miles over 3 days, which is a lot of miles for folks.
Oh, that's nice. That's
nice. But again, you're on trail, so it doesn't beat your body up nearly as much. And
5 miles a day, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not. If they're challenging trails, the hardest one's the first day for sure. And okay. but then Zion and Horseshoe Bend are a little easier. But it's just good vibes. I don't know. Everyone's there, super welcoming community. Everyone's just hanging out, talking. We keep it to about 700 people in total, so it's big, but it's not like thousands and thousands. So you end up you kind of get familiar with folks, and everybody's camping and snoring, and everyone's alarm goes out at the same time, which is funny, but it's I don't know. It's really a good event, and we are planning. Plans are in the works to expand Trail Fest, not only domestically, not only across the U.S. We're looking at places like the Coastal Redwoods in California, Olympic National Park up in Washington, Harper's Ferry out in outside DC, among other places. I'd actually really like to do something in the South that's kind of catered to BMR and Black folks. Frankly, let's center you guys and build an event for folks there. And so that's kind of where we're thinking. But then I also want to take it internationally. I've already got a spot in Iceland I want to be at. There's a spot in Costa Rica, in Patagonia, and then I'm kind of excited about the potential in Africa. A couple of spots that we're looking at, including South Africa. But we're looking at a few places that I'd like to grow that concept.
Oh
So
my
we're really excited. And then even further, I'd like to do like a Trail Fest Zion where you don't move around and everyone just kind of stays in one spot, but you get to see 3 of the best trails around Zion, and then do 3 of the best trails at Bryce and that kind of thing.
nice,
Anyway,
nice.
that's Trail Fest. It's one of our best. It's one of my favorites, and it's one that we're going to be trying to grow pretty heavily over the next few years.
Oh man, I want to do that Trail Fest. I didn't know it was like that. That sounds sexy over there.
It
man.
really is great, man. It's really great.
So
Wow.
if anyone's interested, if they go to vacationraces.com, they will see all of the races that you put on here in the States. They will see the global races as well as the Trail Fest. There's a lot of information on the website. It's pretty informative, pretty interesting. It's pretty exciting when you look at it. It's like you hear people say the sky is the limit. Well, really the world is the limit.
Yeah.
Apparently when it comes to vacation races and the mind of Salem Stanley.
Man,
I always tell people, you get a world map and throw a dart anywhere on it. Middle of the ocean, let's not count that. But anywhere else, I can give me 2 weeks. I will find a way to blow your mind wherever we're going. So it really is just a matter of where's everyone want to go. So if there's a group, if there's a group within BMR that's like, guys, we've always wanted to go to, fill in the blank. It genuinely does not matter. Tell me, and I will build that trip for you, and I will blow your mind.
people got excited when you did the Belize. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh."
Belize is one of the most action-packed ones. We just launched Ecuador, where you get to go to the Galapagos Islands. Patagonia is amazing. Croatia's gotten really good reviews. It's our first year doing Croatia. We got folks in Japan as we speak.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, we're all over, and it's growing. I'm real excited to take everyone back to Cambodia. We'll see if we can get a trip. I want to do a Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand.
Wow.
10-day kind of a deal.
Amazing. I'm sorry, we may have to get in on one of those, man.
Oh man.
Yeah,
we got to get in on one of those, man.
Yeah, get a couple of brothers, and we'll do just like we did in Townsend, Tennessee.
Oh, sure.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt.
But they're very, everyone shows up feeling like, oh, I'm the only one, like I'm slow, whatever. After the first day, everyone's like, oh, okay, everyone's just having a good time. And by the end of the week, dude, I truly don't. I'm trying to think of someone who didn't make it like a friend on the trip. Like we have people who go on these global tours, and then they're like, oh, now they just go to races all over the world or all over the country together. You just end up spending a week with people that are just like you. You know, I think I said this at one point. There are a lot of folks when as I've done research and talked to people, there's a lot of runners that say, yeah, I work, I go to my office, and people talk about, what'd you do this weekend? And you're like, oh, I did a 10-mile run. And people look at you like you got bugs crawling out of your ears. And you kind of oftentimes, especially maybe the folks within BMR, you guys find that brotherhood and that connection, and that's amazing. But in the larger world, it's like, what? You run? That's weird. Why are you doing that? And you end up coming to these events and you find everyone that's just like you, and it's amazing. And everyone's got different backgrounds, everyone's come from different race resumes and all that, but like you just start to go, you just find your people, and it's refreshing, and it's really beautiful, and we really like the community aspect and the connection that happens. Again, I'm sure you guys feel that with BMR. I know I do. And I feel that way with vacation races as well.
Yeah, I can tell you're quite passionate about it. That is refreshing. It makes me, and I'm very intrigued about doing another vacation race. I'm looking forward to next year. We have a couple of your races.
JT, what's your top 10 though? But what's your top? Like, it should be about the park. What are your what national parks pique your interest? Anything? Because like Zion, top shelf, man, and it's all on the road. Glacier, blow your mind. Glacier, it's all on the road.
I'd have to think about that long and hard.
Yosemite is fast, it's downhill, but first half is on a dirt. So maybe that's, I don't know. So you need to come out and
Of the
Experiment.
national parks that you have races, I've been to Mount Rainier because my
Yeah.
parents lived in Seattle some years back, and I remember us driving up the mountain. You know, it's part of it where you can drive. And we got to a certain point. It was like I'm looking to the side, and I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm ready to go back down. And I'm a guy that likes heights. I get excited about heights, but this was pretty doggone high.
Yeah, I get that.
And we didn't even go all the way to as high as you could go.
JT, if you like road running and you want the best national park experience you can find, you should go to Glacier. Google pictures of Glacier National Park. You will. I'm telling you right now, you will love it.
Okay.
And if you're going, I will be there. I will be your tour guide, and I'm promising you, I will blow your mind. In a great way.
Glacier National Park. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Right
and now
on the border of Canada.
You're at all of your races, Salem?
I will be this next year, except for Saguaro. We got a race in Saguaro, and I had planned a trip with my daughter. So I'm not. That sounded like I'm sad to go on a trip with my daughter. I'm really excited about it, but no, I'm not going to get to go to Saguaro.
Sure.
I won't be at any. I don't plan on doing any of the global adventures this next year. I've been doing those as we kind of get them started, and now I'm kind of turning my perspective back to the domestic events. And we're going to try. We got some changeover in terms of leadership within the company, and I'm going to kind of reestablish a few things, and really try and enhance those and make them even better, and continue to try and grow. So
okay,
real excited about that.
I'm looking at Shenandoah.
Yeah, Shenandoah is going to be good. I need to get out there. We again, there was some scouting that should have happened. We did a race there in 2016. And then we had to cancel 2017, and then we didn't come back. And I'm real excited to kind of revisit it and see if we can change it or improve it. I'm even looking at something there for either a trail fest or maybe we do an ultra and we do a half marathon and a 50K or something like that.
Ooh, 50K, yeah. Sound nice.
So we're looking at some things like that, and even some of the places that we've already been. Grand Teton, we're looking at maybe doing a trail version there because that's all on road. I've got a call tomorrow with someone who's in Maine. For anybody in the Northeast, we're looking at Acadia National Park. So we're gonna try and get an event up there. We're really trying to expand our offerings on the East Coast, and a huge chunk of the population, of course, a lot of BMRs folks are on the East Coast. So we're looking real heavily on the East Coast, and then I'm looking for opportunities on places that matter anywhere. So again, anybody out there, anybody listening, you got ideas, you got like, oh, my favorite vacation destination is fill in the blank, dude, email me. I'm easy to get a hold of.
Salem Stanley, everybody.
So,
Brother Salem Stanley, vacation races, vacationraces.com. Check them out. Stay tuned for our 2024 National Black Men Run race calendar, because it will include, I think, at least 2 or 3 vacations.
Two that I know of. Rainier and Shenandoah, I believe.
I do plan to be in Shenandoah.
Cool. It's a good race. I went to school in Virginia, so I really love the Shenandoah Valley. I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
I met my wife, so I gotta love it.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I think that's all the time we have, guys.
All right. Thank you for coming on the show, Salem. We really appreciate your energy and your spirit and everything that you bring to the table, and all the things that you bless Black Men Run with, and basically the world with, an opportunity to do a race in different countries, different states, different national parks. We want all our listening audience to just know you have just experienced the Brotherhood.
Thanks so much, you guys.
All right.